Heather from Here Booktubes, and today is Friends to Lovers recommendations. This is not my favorite trope by any stretch of the imagination, and the main reason why I'm not a huge fan of Friends to Lovers is that a lot of times the whole conflict is, hey, I don't want to ruin our friendship, / one person's been in love with the other one the entire time and didn't do anything about it for years, and that just annoys the ever-living crap out of me. So, not my favorite trope because I typically don't like the standard setup for it. These are all books that either use a different setup for the trope or do it well. Number one, I have Radiance by Draven. This is the first in the Wraith King series. It is a fantasy romance and it is an interspecies relationship. So both species are very different. One is a standard human. The male in the relationship is a completely different species. They are nocturnal, they are gray, they have long black nails, they have completely yellow eyes. They're hideous in the eyes of the humans, and the humans are hideous in their eyes. Both of the main characters are members of the royal family, but are not heirs to the throne, and so are disposable in an arranged marriage for an alliance between their peoples. They're not at war, but there's an uneasy truce, and this will help strengthen the peace. I read this book as a recommendation from Goodreads for enemies to lovers romance, and their peoples are kind of enemies, but they are nice to each other right from the start, and I'm like, oh, thank God, finally somebody is like, oh, I'm literally going to be stuck in a marriage with you for our entire lives. Maybe we should try to make it work on a basic human level. Or not human level. So they actually meet before the wedding, they have a good interaction, they're kind and honest and playful with each other, they find out that each other are the ones that they're going to marry, they're happy about that, and they truly form a fantastic friendship while being married. And then that eventually turns into a real love story because they fell in love with the person before they found them attractive at all, even though both are extremely attractive for their species. You want a domestic fantasy romance, so not a whole lot's gonna happen. There's not gonna be huge battle scenes, there's not going to be a lot going on, there's some, but it's mostly about these two people and about them loving each other and learning to love each other despite complete and total differences that would be insurmountable for a lot of people. Next I have Go Deep, Unexpected Lovers #1 by Rilzy. I loved this novella so much because they're both grown adults and they genuinely were just friends. They did not have any pining for each other. And she is an erotic author and is stumped and has been getting really bad reviews. Her sex scenes are just going way down, and she blames it on a dry spell that she's been going through since her last breakup. She suggests that maybe he could help her out, and it's almost a joke, but it kind of puts the seed in their heads, and they grow a relationship from there. I loved it. It was so well done, especially for a novella, and I really liked that they weren't like, oh, we'll ruin our friendship, because, I mean, sleeping with somebody would change your relationship, but they were like, hey, we've been best friends and loved each other since we were 2 years old. We're gonna be able to make this work even if we sleep together, so why not take the risk? So good. Number 3, I have Rule, which is marked Men, #1 by Jane Crownover. This one, the girl has kind of pined after the guy for like a bunch of years, but not like pine. Like she's kept going with her life and she's basically given up. But she is like turning 21 or something like that, and she's still a virgin, and his twin, I believe, brother died, and she was his best friend. And so that's the main reason why he hasn't made a move on her, because he absolutely believes that they were a couple. They weren't, and but she won't tell his secrets. You know, there were things that he didn't want his family to know, and she's not gonna just tell them. So because of that, she lets them think what they want to think. But she loves the other brother, but he won't go there because of his dead twin. Well, she asked him for a birthday present to take her virginity. And I don't remember if he was drunk at the time. I know that he was drunk a lot of the time at the moment, but they and then she's good. Like, she's not looking for a relationship. She really just wanted to do that with him and then move on. Like, she's not going to spend her life pining for him. and they have the cutest relationship. I love this whole series. I love the spin-off series too. They're like all tattoo artists. She's like a really straight-laced good girl. But he's a tattoo artist, and like all of his friends are tattoo artists, and that's who the series follows. And so good. If you want a bad boy who's a little bit of a man whore at the beginning, but really ends up treating his woman fantastic once he manages his wake-up call, so good. They are younger, early 20s, but not everybody in the series is the same age, so there's that also. Number 4, I have Playing for Keeps, which is A Neighbor from Hell #1 by R.L. Mathewson. This is actually a great enemies to lovers or friends to lovers stories because she hates him, she cannot stand him, and she thinks he hates her too. Really, it's been a series of misunderstandings, and once they get over it, they become friends, and he is going to help her find a boyfriend, or so he thinks. But it's so cute, it's hilarious. His appetite is hilarious. She's a phenomenal cook. She loves sports, especially baseball, so there's a lot of baseball stuff in the book, and she wears glasses, and she's just the cutest little thing. She's also a virgin, and he screws that up epically, but you know, he has to grovel a little bit, so there you go, if that's your thing. But they really do become friends. Like, they are totally falling for each other and don't realize it at all. They're completely delusional, think they're friends. It's a great time. I loved it. Last but not least, we have the Anti Stepbrother by Tijan. I am a fan of stepbrother romances. Particularly, I have a specific setup that I like, right? I like when the parents' relationship is dysfunctional, so they're not like a happy home. And then I like when they're both of age, when they become step siblings, and when they have had very little to no interactions in the past. So they definitely have not grown up together. That's the setup that I like. Well, she goes to college. She follows her stepbrother to college. He's a year or two ahead of her. And he's a man whore, but she's in love with him, and she really wants to convince him to have a relationship with her, even though they are step siblings. And he's in a fraternity, and the president, I believe, of the fraternity is like his enemy, but strikes up a friendship with her, and they become friends while she's kind of pining, trying to get the attention of her stepbrother, and then they end up having their own romantic relationship, and I loved it. I loved it. I first put it on my list to read because I wanted stepbrother romance, and that's not what it was, although that played a part. But I ended up really loving it. They had a good friendship, and I liked how it all played out. So there you go. There's some friends to lovers romance recommendations from a non-friends to lovers stan. So are you a huge fan? Probably, maybe if you clicked on the video, you are. What's your favorite setup for it? Let me know in the comments. And if you have any recommendations for me, I always do check them out, at least on Goodreads, and see if I want to read them. So thank you so much for watching. Bye.